We start this hour with some breaking news. A law enforcement official is telling NewsNation that the FBI has arrested a suspect connected to the pipe bombing investigation in Washington, D.C. That suspect allegedly placed pipe bombs in Washington a day before the January 6 events at the Capitol. This is the first time investigators have connected someone to this case. These bombs were placed near the offices of the Democratic and Republican national committees. Officials deemed the bombs safe. Nobody was hurt, but the FBI said both devices could have been lethal. Joining us now on the phone, NewsNation national security contributor Tracy Walder, former CIA officer and FBI special agent. Tracy, welcome to you. This case and the investigation has vexed law enforcement, and a suspect has remained elusive for about 5 years. Why has this case been so tough to solve and get someone in custody?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Marni. I think there's a couple of reasons. First, the FBI actually has done a really good job of leaving essentially no stone unturned. But the problem is that the sheer leads that they had led them to absolutely nowhere, to the point that they even had to deconstruct the pipe bombs, then made a list of stores that they could have been purchased from, subpoenaed all of the records of those stores, and still came up with nothing. They confiscated 20 phones of individuals around the area, led them to nothing. And so I think, unfortunately, this person planned very much to essentially go dark and leave them with absolutely no trail.
They have not released a name, at least not what I've seen so far. The reason for that, and when might they reveal more?
Yeah, I have not seen a name released as well. I think there's a couple reasons. I think first, they want to ensure that this person or persons is processed. Also, there may be other people involved in the investigation that we don't know about, and they are looking at potentially making additional arrests. They wouldn't want to tip anyone off who might know that person, and so that might be why they're holding on the name.
The reward in this case was somewhere around $490, almost $500,000. I think actually it might have gone up to that. The significance of a reward of this magnitude in a case like this?
You know, it's interesting because we look at rewards a lot, particularly with, Osama bin Laden and other individuals. Rewards can be helpful in terms of providing tips to obtain an individual, but a lot of times I have rarely seen someone come forward with information leading to an arrest simply because of a reward.
We can see a lot of images of the suspect walking around. It was COVID time, so they were wearing a mask. Have we heard anything from law enforcement as to the timing of these pipe bombs being placed in relation to January 6th? Was it a coincidence, or have they said if it's related?
I haven't heard anything, but I do know that initially they were conducting the investigation to almost see if it was, a deterrent to get people away, get their attention away, from the Capitol, and thus allowing, individuals to sort of storm the Capitol on January 6th. But they abandoned that theory pretty quickly, I think, when they realized that they were planted at both headquarters. And it's my understanding they were investigating this separately to January 6th.
Behind the scenes, Tracy, how would they be handling this suspect right now in terms of questioning and determining whether or not he acted alone?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. That is going to be the biggest issue, is them finding out whether or not this individual acted alone, and are there additional threats out there that they need to look through and mitigate. I think that is going to be issue number one for the FBI.
How about charges, potential consequences of these actions?
I mean, they're looking at, I think motive will be the big determining factor. Obviously, I'm not an attorney, but I do think motive in terms of why this person did what they did will be the biggest factor in terms of determining whether or not this is a charge of terrorism, whether or not this is a bombing charge. That's what's going to determine that is that motive.
Well, they've got a suspect in custody. We'll wait to learn more. Tracy, thank you so much, as always, for your time.
Thank you, Marni.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.